Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this Gated Talent Premium webinar. My name is Jan Lelejour, and I represent Gated Talent here in London. And today I am joined by Dennis C. Miller to discuss new leadership skills sought by non-profit boards. Dennis is the founder and president of the Nonprofit Search Group and the Board and Leadership Institute. He is a nationally recognized strategic leadership coach and executive search consultant with more than 35 years experience working with nonprofit board leadership and chief executives across the US. Dennis is also an expert in board governance, leadership development, philanthropy, and succession planning. In addition, he is a sought-after motivational speaker, retreat facilitator, and leadership performance coach. And he is also the author of 5 books, including 4 on nonprofit organization success. You can find more details about Dennis at www.denniscmiller.com. Before we get started, during the presentation, if anybody has any questions, please use the chat box to type your questions. I will pick them up, and we will have some time after the presentation to address these questions. So Dennis, over to you.
Oh, thank you for that kind introduction. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. Tip about myself here and get right down to the objectives of the session here today. Let's see here. Okay. Let me just go back. Okay. There's a couple of objectives I want to accomplish with all of you today. I want to identify the specific transformational leadership skills or competencies that nonprofit boards are seeking in CEOs today. I think that can also help you develop your personal and professional development plan to enhance certain leadership performance skills that you want to build upon. I think it's also hopefully an objective to be able to become, for those of you mentoring others or emerging leaders, for you to be able to identify which skill sets or competencies your colleagues may need to develop to become tomorrow's chief executive officer. So that's kind of the objectives we have for today. And as Vaughn said, I look forward to answering your questions as well. From my experience, there are 6 major competencies that boards are seeking. Hopefully, no one has all 6 all the time, but these are kind of the important competencies or skill sets that in many ways are very different from what boards sought before or what leaders need to have an impact in your community, whether your community is global, national, regional, or local. And I'm going to go into the details of each one of them. Being a visionary thinker, having an entrepreneurial spirit, being a relationship builder, building a positive brand identity, being a collaborator, and an inspirational motivator. So what do we refer to as sort of as a visionary thinker? Well, the simplest question that I ask people all the time is, what is your vision for going forward? What's your future direction? Very simple question, yet it can be very difficult for people to answer. In the days gone by, in the past, boards used to set the vision for themselves, hire someone to be the executive director, and want him or her to kind of carry it out. Today, it's very different. Boards are seeking leaders, individuals that'll come on in and have the courage to set a vision. They want him to create this vision and build a plan to make that vision become a reality. When one does that, obviously it creates a sort of a true partnership with the entire organization to set that course of direction here. Let's define a little bit what we mean by a vision. I'm sure all of you know the answer to the question, what's your vision? What's your mission? Mission answers the question, what's my purpose? Why, as an organization, do we exist? Vision answers the question, where are you headed? So a couple things help define that vision. It should be a realistic, not we're going to solve all the world's problems in one day or 1 week or 1 year, but a realistic, credible, measurable, attractive future for your organization. A destination for which everybody in your organization should want to aim to become more successful than you are in the present. And it should be dealing with not just about yourself as an organization, but obviously to those you serve. What is it about those you serve that you're not yet doing that you want to do for them. Your vision should be a signpost pointing the way for all stakeholders to know kind of where you're headed. And it also should set standards of excellence. It should inspire enthusiasm. It should encourage commitment, be well articulated, ambitious, and understood. I recommend, as you are developing your own vision statement, it should probably be about 10 words or less. But the most important thing about a vision is should it be measurable. How are you achieving it? And I can tell you that of my years of experience, unfortunately, so many organizations don't really have a vision statement, or if they have one, it was put together because of accreditation purposes, but no one sees it. It's in a book or in a binder. So the first competency and skill set that boards are seeking today, obviously, is to be a visionary thinker. And as you all know, to be a visionary thinker takes courage to set the course for the future. And that's kind of the most important one right up front here, to be a visionary thinker. The second competency, and these are not necessarily order of priority, is obviously to have an entrepreneurial spirit. You know, today I use the term CEO to stand for Chief Entrepreneurial Officer. Certainly we all know that in the past, obviously the CEO's job obviously was to manage organizations' revenue. Oftentimes it came from public funding at various levels. Today, though, we all know, and you know this, that today's executives need to build a revenue base by seeking people to invest in their success, invest in their organization. It's a new ballgame. Those willing to invest in them, it's like almost investing in your stock price. So today, a key aspect of being a contemporary leader is to someone who can both generate investments in your organization and create revenue streams. Particularly, people are willing to support your programs. I'll give you an example. Back in my earlier career as a hospital CEO, we had to build a great relationship with an area pharmaceutical company that wanted to establish their presence in the community. Though they were not going to be giving the bricks and mortar, we developed a relationship with them that over 5 years, they gave us $2 million to have their name on our breast care program. That meant $400,000 that we were spending in our budget every year. Their gift came right to a bottom line. And so there's a lot of people today that want to invest in your programs. And so a key aspect of the entrepreneurial spirit is to be able to seek investors. A key aspect of seeking investors, though, is to understand the world of philanthropy has changed from what I used to call the tin cup theory, where people were sort of begging or asking, or transactional, asking for your organizational needs or because of your distress. Today, leaders need to understand that it's about your achievements. And we're going to mention a little bit later when we get into branding, but it's about your achievements and your success and having people understand those investments here. Another key aspect of being an entrepreneur in the nonprofit world is to understand why people do give money. Well, I'm sure if I ask you, I will ask you, but I think you'll have the common answers. Certainly, yes, people give to those they know. Yes, they give to those they respect. Yes, they give to want in the world to be a better place. And most importantly, they give to those that ask them. But there's two aspects that are really important that have been more prevalent over the past 5 years or 10 compared to prior years, is that people give to success, not to stress. It's really important to do that. And I know that all of us in the nonprofit sector, we didn't join the sector because we were looking for medals and trophies and all kind of latitudes and people pounding on our back here. But it's very important as an organization, for you as a leader, or those aspiring to be a leader, to be able to articulate the success you're having. Another thing that's important to understand, it may sound like a play on words here, but obviously it's that people will give to the needs of those you serve more than your organizational needs. So it's really important in today's world is to be building, sort of having an entrepreneurial spirit and seeking investors. There's a famous saying that says something like this: people may not remember what you did, and they may not remember what you said, but you'll always remember how you made them feel. I know today in my role as my company as a board or leadership coach or an executive search recruitment, we look for leaders and boards look for leaders that can build collaboration, can build a sense of team. Far too often I've seen in my journey leaders that it's about them and what they can control and how size kind of budget they have. But it's really important that no one can achieve anything without the help of other people. So I'm going to describe this as the relationship pillar. Okay. I know some people view this as sort of a soft, emotional, maybe irrelevant thing, but I'm sure you will agree with me that leaders that are able to bring out the best in others, leaders who are able to make people feel that their voices are important, that concerns and actions matter, are the ones that are going to be the most successful. How do you establish credibility, and how do you earn trust and respect? I think you earn credibility by consistently making decisions that are in the best interest of your organization. When people see that you are consistently making decisions, having outcomes, articulating your organization's values that reflect what's best for the whole and not yourself here, over a consistent period of time, you establish your credibility. Earning trust and respect is, as we all know, is crucial. Now, there are some people that think trust and respect is required as part of their job title. It's because of the certain level of authority here. Obviously, as a key part of building relationships, people's trust and respect is earned through your informal authority. It is how you listen to people. It's how you make people feel and think. It is a whole range of things about letting people know that you are there for them. It's no differently that if you are building trust in a marriage, the relationship is strengthened. In the workplace, it's strengthened if you build trust and your organization is strengthened here. So it's really important to be a listener. I know when I was going through graduate school many, many, many years ago, one of my professors said, those of you that were going into the hospital administration world, put aside your contracts, put aside your budgets and agreements, and once in a while walk down to your emergency room. Well, I've learned that, and I found myself kind of walking around the institutions that I was running, and I know in the beginning people felt a little suspicious. They thought, oh, there's something must be wrong. They have this perception of something that's critical happening here. But I've learned that, I got to know them on their first name basis. I listened to what they had to say. How's their family? How was their vacation? I think people begin to trust that. I don't know if you have ever done it, but I created something called Dialogue with the President meetings. I would invite 20 employees at a time into the boardroom without management and begin to ask them how they felt about being an employee. People began to open up and honestly listening, and it's how I built the organizations that I did here. Relationship building is crucial, and it's something that unfortunately we need to teach more about in our educational system, in our schools. We don't always do a good job of it. Another key aspect of relationship builder is being a decision maker. Certainly, it's not always, we can't always solve every issue, but nobody likes anybody who's a procrastinator, just can't make a decision. I'm sure if I asked you, you could identify someone that just can't get it done. And so, if you have to, make a change, if you've got to redo a decision, communicate it, but, make decisions in an appropriate and timely manner. I think it's really crucial here. Keeping your promises. I think it's important to keep your promises as part of relationship building. There are times when facts will dictate that you need to change how whether you can deliver the promise or not. There could be a funding stream to change. It could be a regulatory change. People will be acceptable about it. But the most important thing is to remember that in order for you as a leader, whether you're the CEO, a member of the executive team, or member, for you as a leader, in order for you to achieve any level of success, you must have a team effort to do that, build a team. And so relationship building is an art, there's a science to it, but it's really, really crucially important. And I hope that it's a competency that you all will be developing. Too often I hear, Dennis, we're the best kept secret in town. We do great work, but no one really knows what we are. I don't know how that might be for you here, but in the for-profit world, where everybody's familiar with the branding and having a chief branding officer and things like that. But in the nonprofit world, it's becoming more and more prevalent to be able to develop your brand. And a brand is not just your logo, but your brand is it's a promise that you make throughout your entire organization to your clients, consumers, your employees, your board, your volunteers, your donors. It's the aggregation of everything you do. It's your mission, it's your vision, it's your personality, your promise to those you serve. It's a means for identifying and distinguishing your organization from another. A question that I would ask you to think about today: how do you distinguish yourself from other organizations? I've seen so many organizations they're kind of middle of the road. They sound like they could be anybody else's organization here. An organization with a unique brand identity has improved brand awareness, has a motivated team of employees who feel proud to work there, has active members on the board. It leads to brand loyalty. It leads to donors and brand preference here. It assures customers over and over again that you are what you say you are. On the slide, you will see increasing your non-public stock price. So I like to play a little game here all the time and ask people, so how's your stock price doing? And the typical answer is obviously that we're a non-public organization, we don't have a stock price. But I would argue a little bit facetiously that you do. Clearly, if your financial officer was caught with embezzlement, how would your stock price would go down? And so a couple things, I used to ask my board, how's my stock price doing? And what I meant by that was, what's the feeling in the community? How are we doing? If we had an event, how was it positive? Did people leave feeling really good about us? Were they bored? What was going on here? How well do we communicate? How do we communicate our achievements? I find that one of the challenges that so many of us have in the sector is we're not comfortable touting our horns. But you know what? In these day and ages, if you believe that people invest in success, you've got to tout your horn these days and talk about the impact you're having, regardless of whether you're a theater, human service organization, criminal justice, environmental. You're in the business to have an impact, and it's really important to talk about your achievements. I remember a decade or more ago doing a retreat for an organization, and they wanted one on sort of philanthropy. I remember asking them if they could tell me their top 2 achievements, and it's a true story. And I remember someone, I think she was the board chair, said in this room, well, we did our budget on time. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, that's not a great achievement. And someone else spoke about, geez, we only spend so much money on fundraising or whatever. But a woman in the back of the room said, we do a program called PALS, P-A-L-S. I said, what is that? It stands for Peace, an Alternative Learning System. It says, Dennis, we treat children who've been subjected to domestic violence or sexual assault so they can build relationships again, trust relationships again, have healthy relationships again. And I thought, wow. I said, how do you communicate that? I said, we don't really do a good job. So one thing I think we need to do as leaders is be able to effectively communicate not just your passion for your organization, but talk about the impact you're having. It engages people. So the more you can communicate your success, the more you can have a positive event and outcome, the more your board members feel like proud to be part of your organization and can be an ambassador in a community, the more your employees feel happy to be working for you. All of those aspects go to your stock price. I'd also ask you to, as often as you can, particularly on your website, but at every event, even a board meeting, share impactful stories. It's important to have someone from your organization has been served, kind of come in and spend a few minutes with your senior team about what your organization did for them. Have it prominently displayed on your website. But storytelling is crucial today. It's not all about facts and figures, about the size of your organization, about how many programs you've got or not. It's about the impact you're having. And so, as I indicate here, is don't be afraid to tout your horn. And I'll ask you today is, what's your stock price selling for today? How's it trading? Is it going up? Is it going down? Hopefully, it's going up here. Another key aspect, obviously, of the new competencies today compared to yesterday is the issue of collaboration. I remember coming out of a conference that I was part of, and the president of a major bank that was a sponsor for the conference said to me, Dennis, how can we have 8 kids programs for cancer? How do people even collaborating? Everybody's coming for funding here, and it's kind of true. And I proudly, build my organization. I proudly built my firm over 15 years, but I'm a collaborator. I have a relationship with a lot of different organizations, a lot of different people that work with me. It's not all about me or my team here. And so today, more than ever before, programmatically, are you collaborating? And I think it starts, not only yourself as leader, but it starts with your board. I've seen organizations, for example, here. I've done a lot of work in the Hispanic world, of Hispanic communities of organizations that develop sort of health education, educational programs, but they always haven't had the staff to do that, but they've had the people to do it. So create a collaboration with the local hospital and medical center to bring that educational team in. I've seen local YMCAs that had some space, and yet the community organization, Hispanic organization, or any type of organization. I've worked in the Korean community, a whole range of organizations that had a need for aftercare school programs, but not the space here. So it's really extremely important today than ever before to kind of collaborate with each other. And I just think that when you find that you're kind of collaborating, you will have a chance for actually more effectiveness and more program development here. As we indicated before, funders certainly welcome the opportunity to provide a grant application when there's 2 or 3 or multiple people involving it. Collaboration is more than just cooperating. It's really a process of a commitment to kind of working together to achieve a shared goal. So I'd ask you, how are you today working to achieve a shared goal, and what organizations are you working with, or what organization are you can? So, for example, one of my clients is a boys, young men residential treatment program, a very large one, nationally recognizable, great reputation, and yet, developing, aftercare. Where do the children go who either finish the program or age out of foster care? Where do they go? Well, they've been developing programs in collaboration with dozens of other organizations around the area, in collaboration, both for preventive care and obviously post-care, community building, housing, job training, a whole range of things here. It's really, it's much different than just being a cooperative partner here. It certainly develops trust and respect here. If you are someone that historically has been kind of a hoarder, and I don't mean hoarding boxes in your house, but sort of, wants to do it all themselves, and if you have a board that wants you to do it all yourselves here, I think it's an issue that needs to be looked at. Today, leadership needs to be collaborative. If we truly believe, as I do, and I'm sure you do, if we truly believe it's about those we serve, if we really believe that, then do we have to go it alone all the time? And I would argue that we don't. But as I have it up on the slide, it does require very competent, secure leadership to collaborate. That doesn't have to be in controlling. In the past, people prided themselves on, the size of our budget and how many programs and people. So that's important. But today, it's really about the impact we're having and the collaboration we're having here, and it certainly creates value. And so, one of the things that I've always shared with my clients and colleagues is this here, is Whether you're affiliating, I go work with a lot of organizations for them to become an affiliate of another organization, which just sort of means we're going to kind of work together a little bit. Are you creating value? The answer is, are you creating value for the community you serve? Regardless of your community, are you creating value? And if you can answer the question as yes, we're creating value. Yes, we're working on shared goals. I think all those things can become, a really great achievement. And yet, and if any of you are members of the board, I would encourage you in your evaluation of your CEO, and I recommend it when I do CEO performance evaluation or guide organizations through them, is to put collaboration on that. Last but not least, but obviously mentioned this earlier, but today more than ever before, you all know more than I the challenges that are out there each and every day, the challenges that are out there in, motivating people. We clearly know, we don't always have the funding to, we don't always have the funding to provide people with certainly a raise. We don't have various things we can do. But you know what? My experience has been, and my experience of watching my colleagues as well, and you, and we started this webinar early today with, when you can bring out the best in others, when you were able to make people feel important, when you listen to them and make them feel that their voices and concerns matter, the organization can be highly successful. When people leave an organization, they often say it's leaving because of money. Well, sometimes it's money, but oftentimes it's money at the last straw. It broke the camel's back. It's just they don't feel valued. They don't feel valued. They don't feel listened to. They don't feel loved. They don't feel loved. Inspirational leaders, inspirational motivators kind of have this quest for excellence to become the best we can be. They have an attitude. It's not a position. It's an attitude to convey that in spite of the alligators around our ankles, we're going to achieve greatness, regardless of the size, whether we're a $500,000 organization or a $5 million or a $500 million operation. We're going to be able to achieve greatness here. A key motivational leader knows how to align every individual's goals to the organizational goals, so everybody feels part of it. One of the books I wrote is called The Power of Strategic Alignment, a guide to energizing leadership and maximizing potential in today's nonprofit organizations. What I find, it's just very common, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation, is that just like when our cars are out of alignment, our tires may wear out, or if our back is out of alignment, our minds don't feel good. Most times our organizations are not aligned. We're not aligned behind a common vision, behind a common strategic goal where we operate in silos. I think organizations whose leaders can align individual goals, can have this quest for excellence, can create a winning attitude, create an attitude that we're not perfect, but you know what? We try to do everything we can with what we have here. I think when leaders do that, they become the place to be. So as I summarize the competencies that I've been finding in my career, both as an executive recruiter and working with hundreds of boards around the country, and sometimes internationally, it's clearly a visionary thinker, an entrepreneur, a relationship builder, a brand builder, a collaborator, and a motivator. I think when we achieve those things, we're a long way towards becoming a very effective leader. I just want to also close with sort of the C's, the 10 C's or the top C's of leadership. It takes courage to lead. It's easy to follow. It takes courage to lead. It can be lonely. You need confidence, self-confidence. I learned in my life, every small achievement over my course of my life, small achievements, very small achievements, led to my growth and self-confidence. Confidence is really important. How do we develop confidence? Through experience, through learning, through collaborating. Compassion is a component of leadership. Having empathy for other people, having a commitment to both the organization, the people, to yourself. Communication is a crucial part of leadership. Cooperation, being considerate, being creative. These are the C's of leadership. I hope the webinar today has created some thinking, some provocation on your part to what are the skills and competencies that you may want to develop yourself, and what are those competencies and leaderships that you would like your team members to develop. Finally, just to let you know on the slide there, the 5 books that I wrote, just kind of quickly. The first one with my face, with my hand by my chin, looks like a professor. I'm not. It's called The 4 Pillars. Actually, it's called A Guide to Achieving New Heights. The 4 Pillars of Successful Nonprofit Leadership. I play with my colleague. What did great leaders have? And they all had 4 things: great relationship ability. They were passionate and commitment. They were visionary thinking and business minded. They understood that nonprofit was their tax status, not their business plan. They wrote the nonprofit board service, how to unlock your organization's potential. How do you integrate high performing governance with inspirational leadership, visionary thinking? How do you untap philanthropic success? The book, The Power of Strategic Alignment, we talked about how do you align your stakeholders. I wrote a book called Mopping Floors as a CEO, an autobiography of my journey through life of not doing well as a youngster and overcoming a lot of hurdles. And my most recent book is A Guide to Recruiting your Next CEO and a handbook for nonprofit boards on the executive search process, whether it's CEO or not here. I just want to conclude here, obviously, that you can text Dennis, DENNIS, at 22828. Join my mailing list. We send out a number of leadership tips and board tips a couple times a month. And look forward to hearing from you. Take some questions right now. And also that if anybody would like to privately schedule a complimentary conference call with me, just to email me, Dennis at Dennis C. Must put the C in for Charles. Dennis at DennisCMiller.com. Let's see here. We have any questions right now? If anybody can help me with the questions here. Do we have any questions?
Hey, Dennis, thank you very much for your presentation. So just to inform the audience, in about an hour's time, you will receive a follow-up email, which will include Dennis's email address, as well as that telephone number to text, and also a link to a mailing list subscription form on the Dennis's website. Dennis has also kindly offered to send a signed copy of one of his books to anyone on this call who requests it. So don't be shy and email Dennis if you would like that, or to book a time for an initial conversation with him. So feel free to ask your questions in the little chat box. We already have a couple coming. So Dennis, the first question we have Chris asking, what's the one major change in terms of what boards are looking for over the past few years?
Yeah, I think Chris, the one biggest change is this here. Boards are looking for CEOs that will lead them forward. I remember a couple of years ago, a colleague of mine who had run a major organization went into government and human service and wanted to go back at. She kept talking about how, in the interview, how she would be, following board's advice, and the board kept wanting her to lead. So I think it's leadership. I think today, in the past, Chris, boards wanted someone that was a good manager of people, a community relationship person, a grant writer, a program developer. They are seeking leadership. They want someone to lead. They want someone that's going to engage them. I think that's probably the biggest thing, is someone who will take the step next to show them the future and guide them forward. I think that's probably the biggest thing that people want, is someone who's going to have the courage to lead, not just to, say. Boards don't want someone to say, well, tell me what you want me to do. They want someone to say, here's what we want to do. I've seen it so often where people just can't make that break. They can't tell the board, here's where I want to go, and I want your support, and here's why. So that's the biggest change, Chris, I would say.
Okay, thank you for that. And second question, Elena is asking, why is relationship building so important?
Well, think about it. I mean, I don't know anybody who achieves anything in life on their own. I had a former client that uh, at the CEO level that did things. I'm sure this person was not aware of their inability to build leadership team, but it became about him or her. And I think about it at any level in a family, in a school, in a business, um, we all need each other. And I can only speak for myself as when I don't do hospital work anymore, but it's where I spent the first 24 years of my life. But I came into an organization and that had didn't realize it, but besides losing a lot of money, it was had poor employee morale and poor employee satisfaction, poor patient satisfaction. I listen to people, and so relationship building is it's so crucial to have people on your team that will follow you, that want to achieve what you want to achieve, and you do that through relationship building. When people feel you care. The bottom line is quite simply, people know he cares. They like you, and it's important. I'm not saying make everybody comfortable and like you, but it is important to be kind of likable. And so relationship building is absolutely crucial if you're going to have a success as an organization. You need to do it with other people.
Okay, that's great. We have time for one more question, but it seems that's all we have at the moment. So I think we're gonna end this session here. So thanks again, Dennis, for a very interesting presentation. And again, if anyone has any further questions, please don't hesitate to email Dennis. You will get his email address again in about an hour's time in your inbox. You could also email us at info@gatedtalent.com, and I will forward any further questions to Dennis for him to get back to you. So for now, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Dennis, again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon again. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.